Here lies a sheltered man, one without a clue. Exists only in memories, another life subdue. Here comes a second chance, redeem yourself today. We've all had our fair share, although it's still unclear. Still standing here, waiting to be drawn away.
My name is Mason Grant. I'm a broadcast student at Confederation College. Last semester, myself and two other people in the program set out to do a homeless documentary, homelessness in Thunder Bay. And that required me to live on the streets for 4 days and to actually see firsthand what it was really like out there. This was a 4-day experience. I started on Thursday, November 15th at 8 a.m. and went until Monday, November 19th at 8 a.m. So it was a full 4 days. Basically, I was given goals every day. Day one, I was dropped off at the Greyhound bus station at 8 a.m. With my supplies, and my objective for the day was to make it to the Simpson Street shelter, which luckily I knew existed. There's a shelter house on Simpson Street. Basically make my way down there, secure myself a bed, somewhere to sleep for the night, and also get a meal. Okay, I made it to the shelter house. I'm here now. I'm gonna go inside, see if I can get a bed for the night and maybe supper. Yeah, I'm gonna find out where the other shelters are around town, hopefully, and so I'm here, and that's my plan right now. As for the resources in Thunder Bay, I'd say they're not more than adequate. There's services there, but obviously there needs to be more services, like for sure. There always does, though, you know. I believe the shelter house, I think, I don't know how, they have like super limited amount of beds there. Well, I got a room for the night. I also got an address for another shelter up in PA. Basically, she said there's a bed for me, so I come back anytime I want. So that's perfect. Got to the shelter, spoke with the woman there, secured myself a sleeping arrangement for the night, and also received lunch and dinner that day from the shelter. So really the day was a really cold day. It was like super cold day, I remember. I think I'm gonna have to take my lip ring out because it's getting really cold already. My water's frozen. Look at this. A lot of walking because, you know, I didn't want to spend my first funds on a bus ride. I spent a lot of time just kind of waiting around to eat because I was walking for a long time. I was really hungry. So that was day one, basically. Day two was by far the worst day, I'd have to say for sure. Started off again, I believe it was 9 a.m. the next morning, started at the shelter on Simpson Street. Day two, 9:33 a.m. Just spent my first night out of my house. The objective for day two was to make my way up to the Salvation Army shelter, which is in Port Arthur on Cumberland Street, which is very far away from the shelter house on Simpson. And on the way I had to raise money because I spoke with the woman at the shelter house on day one, and she explained to me that it cost, there was a cost to stay there for the night. I had $4.93 in my pocket. I had to raise enough money to spend the night there. Day two, there was so much walking. Walking for 8 hours. It literally took all day to get from the Simpson Street shelter to the Cumberland shelter. Literally, it took all day. By the time that I did get there, I had no sole left on my left sock, actually. And my left sole of my sock was completely rubbed off, completely worn off. We came to the mall here to jump in and to sit down and get some warmth, but they don't allow cameras in there, so
Now we're sitting outside and resting. I'm hungry. And yeah, and then I'm making my way to PA, and I got a piece of cardboard. I need to find a marker somehow, or a pen or whatever. Probably won't be too hard.
I chose to beg. I spent a couple bucks on some Sharpie pens, and so I could make a sign. I found some cardboard, and I made a please help sign, basically to beg outside of one of the big corporations we have here in town.
Okay, I just got to a busy part of the city, a busy business. So I'm gonna make my sign. With my new markers that I bought. I'm gonna cover my face up because I mean it's really embarrassing to do something like this. So I'm gonna make sure that my face is concealed, and hoping to raise about $5 so I have somewhere to sleep tonight.
Hardest thing I had to do was definitely the begging session. I didn't want to do that, like, more than anything.
I wouldn't imagine what it would be like having to do this every day. It would just be horrible. Okay, I'm ready.
I mean, obviously a lot of people, a lot of society, especially in a country like ours or America, we're very rich nations, right? So I mean, to see somebody that isn't working or isn't providing for themselves, you get a general stereotype right away. There's no really way to change that perception that these people have on homeless people, just because that's either how they were raised or that's just what the general impact of society has had on them. And it's ridiculous, but you know, you can't change a lot of stuff.
It's 1:15 right now. I just sat down here. See how long it takes for me to get first helping hand.
You know what? You can't solicit on here,
Okay,
but
right on.
even if you just move down there, okay, anywhere other than on the property.
Cool, thanks a lot. I was there for exactly 2 minutes, and I was kicked off the property.
Kicked off the property really fast, but I did end up making $3 out of the deal, so that was good.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
One of the first people that I actually looked up and saw after I got settled was a mom and this little boy, actually. And the mom, the little kid's looking at me going, "Mom, we gotta help this guy," and she just dragged him along. "No, we don't, let's go." You can probably actually see it in one of the shots, you know, and it's that kind of attitude right there that immediately, from a young age, especially that young, you know, you start developing these thoughts and these stereotypes on people that are homeless and that need help.
Okay, so I got to Cumberland Street and I started asking people for money. And this really, really nice lady just gave me like $3.75, so I'm more than set. So now all I have to do is find the shelter.
6, 7.
I'm starving, I haven't eaten all day. I've been walking all day long from the shelter house. I'm up in PA now. It's hard when you're not eating, you get really tired.
By the end of the day, I actually did raise enough money to spend the night at the shelter. The only problem was I was told at the Simpson Street shelter that it was a $10 stay a night. When I got up to the Salvation Army, right before the sun went down, I got in there and the man explained to me that it was $15. Luckily, I had 17 in my pocket, but if I didn't have that, I would have been sleeping outside.
Okay, we've been walking for, I don't even know how long, but Cumberland Street's the longest street on Thunder Bay apparently, and this just happens to be at the very end of the street. So now I'm here, I'm eating, I'm going to bed.
I was already extremely burnt out by the third day, so I didn't want to do anything except for get to where I was going and just wait. My goal was to get to the Dewdrop Inn, which was luckily on that side of town, so I could get a free meal supplied to me. I was basically to find another place to sleep for the night, and I decided to go back down to the shelter on Simpson Street, and luckily I had bus fare in my pocket.
Okay, I just got off my bus ride, and now going to the shelter again. Just waiting around to go to bed, basically. That's my day. I'm tired.
Chapters into chapters, verses into choruses. They were played.
Day 4 was a little different because I was fortunate enough to find adequate housing for the previous 3 days. So the objective for day 4 was to recreate a scenario that if these housing projects were not available in the city, what would I do? We're gonna go through the scenario tonight on the last day, what it would actually be like if I didn't find any shelter. So I'm 100% on the street, don't even have the option of finding a shelter. So yeah, tonight I'm sleeping on the street. Day 4, I started walking from the shelter house in the morning, and then at about 2 o'clock, I realized that I was probably 20 blocks away from the shelter house. And 2:30 is when they serve lunch. I had $1.50 in my pocket.
I got to a little corner store slash restaurant thing on my journey here, and I came to realize that it's now 20 after 3. I didn't even think about it, but I'm not near the shelter, which means if I want to eat today, I got to go all the way back to the shelter by 7:30, and that's not happening. So I'm not eating today. So I basically didn't eat all day, and I still needed to find some shelter for the night. So that was brutal. I remember just not eating for so long. I was so hungry and so tired at that point, and I knew that I had to just find somewhere to sleep before the sun went down, because I think we had, I don't know, the sun was going down at about 5 then. So I had 2.5 hours, or probably 2.5 hours, to find somewhere safe to sleep. So there was a baseball diamond close by. That seemed like the most appropriate place to sleep. I don't know. It was okay. It was kind of secluded. You know, it was in the back of a field. I guess this is as good a place as any. That's that. I'm here. I'm staying. I'm in a dugout in the back of a baseball diamond. It sheltered the wind somewhat. I actually had to move. I had to move dugouts during the night because the one was, there was too much wind in the one. But that was a really cold night. I don't know how. Like I had a huge jacket, I had a huge blanket, I had a toque, and I had this and that, and I was sleeping in a dugout which was relatively sheltered from the wind, and I was still freezing cold. Literally to the point where I'd have to wake up 15-minute shifts and strut back and forth to get feeling back in my legs and toes, you know? I don't know how, if somebody didn't have the supplies that I had, I don't know how they'd survive. Absolutely freezing cold overnight, especially in one of these things.
We basically set out to do this project to give the public a little taste of impoverished people in Thunder Bay, just to show them, you know, some of the hardships that actually goes along with being out there on the street.
35 hours. I haven't eaten in 35 hours. I think I slept for about a total of maybe 2 hours last night. Probably not even. I pretty much fell asleep. I pretty much curled up in a little ball because I was starving, and just kind of passed out from hunger. Like, it was just a painful sleep.
It was a bad experience, but it wasn't to the point where I could honestly say I know what it feels like to be homeless, you know? People won't understand unless they go out and do it for 4 days or a week or a month, like how daunting it really is. Society's never going to accept it. I don't know how you could possibly change the public's outlook. Let's just say like 50% of people aren't going to actually take the time to understand problems that individuals have, and it's only going to get worse. People need help, period.
We ride, we find ourselves to the anchor again. We find the times when change comes, we lose track of mind. So we choose to follow the stories you have told us, chapters in chapter